Okay. Part 2 of the live stream today. We're now on the camera, so life will be a lot easier. My laptop is just not capable of handling all this at once. But I did want to do the other one just so we could look at what was going on as far as all the tune stuff that was going on. So there we go. People are starting to trickle in. Okay, hopefully, yeah, this will be a lot better, a lot smoother stream now. Appreciate you guys bearing with me on the other one. So let me get the chat pulled up here so I can follow along. And if you're just now joining the stream, I just finished the stream where we did a first start and we went through the tune and talked about how the tune was set up in order to get the super auto running. We ended up doing a speed density tune originally because we didn't have the mass sensor. Oh yeah, the bypass valve right now, because the cam has so little vacuum on it, it's having a hard time keeping the bypass valve open at idle. And so every once in a while, the bypass valve is going to close. Whenever that happens, the airflow on the motor spikes up real quick, and it causes a really bad hunting idle. Now, we've got to find the magical balance of where the cam likes to be at to maintain a decent vacuum in order to have that bypass valve stay open the whole time at idle. Because if that bypass valve, if it's just, even if it's only cracking this much, and then it just kind of touches down and then opens like that, you're going to have a hunting idle the whole time. It's frustrating. And most likely what'll have to happen is we'll have to set the idle up a little bit higher than we'd like to, so you're not going to get that nice lopey idle that you would get on a normally aspirated setup or possibly even a turbocharged setup, things like that. And that's just supercharger life. You know, it is what it is. You've got air there all the time that's trying to get into the motor, and if you're not able to bypass that motor out, you're having an issue, or bypass that air out. The idle, I think, is set to around 900 or 1,000 right now. That's kind of a good area to be at also for getting air to fuel ratio readings, because it gives us an idea, and then we can slope back from there to get it a little bit down. You have a nice arc on the map. Why does mine flatline in the upper section? Because you probably maxed out the airflow in that upper section, but it's in a hertz range that you're not going to hit, Danny. I don't think they make a smaller spring for this one. This is the ProCharger bypass valve. Yeah, and see, we'd want it to be backwards, Jacob. Bingo, Vastelite. That's exactly right. Oh, I took it to the track yet? No, I mean, this is literally, I just got started yesterday. Just got started yesterday, and I can't drive it yet because I haven't verified the transmission oil. Hey, 92. Tyler, because the aftermarket converter is not here yet, and I'm ready to start tuning the truck. So we're going to tune the truck on the stock converter until the aftermarket one comes in. Yeah, I'll be honest, Vasily, a little bit of hunting idle doesn't bother me any. The big thing is whether or not it gives you any kind of lag on tip-in, but TCI. I got the TCI billet bolt together. I got you, 92 LSC kid. Weren't getting your DTC for the MAF. If you're not getting the DTC for the MAF has not failed yet. Stiffer spring on a blow-off valve, higher pressure. Right? No, I guess on a blow-off valve, it wouldn't matter. Blow-off valve, I mean, it could. I guess you could. You have pressure on the top side of it, though. Really shouldn't matter on the spring. Yes, Sean, I will be doing a lot of videos on the tuning process. So, 92 LSC kid, did you do the TCS patch for speed density? Check your OS tab. I hope so, Joel. I hope so. We'll see. We'll see. I'm just glad the damn thing runs, to be honest with you. You know, this is the furthest I've ever gone into a motor before. So I was very excited. Fired up. I mean, it came alive pretty easily. You gotta pedal it a little bit to get it started up because it's still pretty rich on crank. And then once it gets up and starts idling, it runs on its own. So I idled it for probably a good 20-25 minutes yesterday at various RPMs between 800 and about 2,000. Got everything up to temp. Did an oil and filter change on it. Jacob, specs on cam. I'll have to look it up. It is 226, 242, 116 lobe separation at 4 degrees at advance. Lift is 630, 621. Nope. No issues. Base circles is still the same, so. Tom, I don't know if the Holley high ram is the only option. Now, I'm sure there's other options for port injection. MSD probably has one with port injection on it. High ram fits on the truck without really much modification except to the firewall cowl, so. Yes. I mean, Sean, I've gone through my settings for the water meth already. There's videos out there if you go to the Snow Performance playlist on our website, Sean. I've done videos on how our water meth is set up. I'm not changing any of the water meth settings on it. So we'll just be tuning the new motor for the existing water meth. I did make some adjustments to the secondary fuel because we added 80-pound injectors from our 42-pounders. So we'll have a lot more fuel on the top end, but I went into the micro squirt and halved my VE table to start. Yeah, 92 LSC kit, if you do that, let me know. Yeah, Jacob, it's pretty rowdy, but this truck is just pure sin at this point in time. I mean, it's never been DD'd in its life, so. I did have to go through, as I said on the other video, and swap all of my EGT sensors because despite the fact that on thermocouples normally red is negative, for some reason these thermocouples red was positive, are the auto DIY EGT to CAN module just has it labeled backwards. I don't know, but I've got all 8 EGTs reading in now, which is super cool. I'm excited to get some data logs once we start getting into boost. And then we got a 340 pulley ready to go on. That's probably should be good for mid to high 20 PSI on this thing. So I also need to throw that bigger pump in, fuel pump in. Kevin, no, the SD TCS patch is strictly for whenever you're in SD to keep the transmission from shifting at fuel pressure. Joel, go check out the Patreon. You can find it at the website. Having problems with it staying running in drive, and my AC is turning off. That's very interesting. I have to look at a log of it happening. Sean, probably just a little bit rich on startup. Check your your cranking volumetric efficiency table and your cranking airflow table. I pulled 20% out of mine and it's still too rich. 10%. Maybe I only pulled 10% out of them. What's your feeling on centrifugal versus screw type blowers? Each one has their place. Instant boost versus maximum power. You know, if this were something that I was just going to be putting around on the streets, twin screw would probably be the way to go, root style. But since we're wanting to make maximum horsepower, let's go centrifugal. I wish FedEx would show up already. I'm ready to get this thing out. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get out on the road and start doing some actual tuning on the road. Have you ever messed with the twin charge setup? Yeah, Sean, the truck was actually twin charged for a little bit. Turbo into supercharger. I ended up pulling the turbo off because it was a rear mount turbo, and it just, even with the scavenger pump, it was just smoke showing everywhere it went. There's some old videos on that, including the one where I killed the turbo by having a chunk of exhaust. What is a Cadillac doing these days? Mallard 7, the Cadillac, the battery is still dying on it. I drove it yesterday. I went to go get in it this morning. It's out in the driveway. I went to go get in it this morning. The battery was flat dead. There was a water leak that was dropping water on the BCM, and whenever water would get on the BCM, it was activating subsystems that were then draining the battery. I thought I had that water leak fixed. I'll be honest with you, the BCM might be bad, but there's a box somewhere here with a BCM in it that I need to program. I don't know. There's too much crap in here. There's one somewhere in here. Now that the truck's running, we can go out and spray the caddy down. So I just didn't want to have two broken cars at once. P0106 map voltage. I mean, idle sounds right. 55 to 65. What's it reading at cruise? I mean, the P0106 I thought had a range that you could adjust. Tyler Rice, yes, PE should kick out whenever throttles drop back to 0 if you have DFCO on. But, I mean, it might be, I'm not going to say for sure that that's the case because it could be one of those situations where it would stay in with DFCO off if you're meeting some of the requirements for PE still. So you'll just have to go through your power enrichment tables and see what your enablers are set at. But usually there's something, you know, throttle or load based in there that would cause it to kick out, manifold pressure, things like that. Hey, Katam. Well, you haven't really missed much on this video. I did a very short live video where we went through the tune, but it was stuttering and shucking and jiving real bad. And we can do another. We can do another live start if you guys want me to. No more, I promise, Theo. Where do you tune without a dyno and without cops messing with you? Just around. Just around. Okay. 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 That sounds stockish. Yeah. Okay. Probably about the last time for today because, as I said, she's a little rich. Get a little eye burn going on. But hopefully you saw the second nitrous purge, Sean. What's in it? Oh, man. 182Q, that's a loaded question. Everything. Not really, Sean. It's probably about 60% E85 right now. 60% ethanol. Short story, 5.3, lowered to 9.7 compression ratio, fairly healthy cam in a ProCharger F1A, along with auxiliary port injection, methanol port injection, nitrous plate. God, what else? I can't even remember everything that's done to it. Yes, stockish. Well, you probably turned it down whenever the truck started, Casey. Turn it back up. Thanks, 182Q. Yeah, there's a lot of videos out there that goes over some of the different stuff as we get it installed, and then of course we'll be doing some tuning videos specifically for this setup here soon. Thank you, Catan. I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, that I use that thing for getting into the engine bay. Yeah. Yeah, they don't make a set of aftermarket heads for this setup. And honestly, if you go in and look at the people that are doing the porting on it, there's not a lot to be gained for porting these heads. So they were very low down on the list. Jacob, I use the Summit Racing Diamond Ring gap tool. It's the one you see everywhere. It's the little silver one with the wheel on it. Appreciate it, Omar. Bingo, that one. Yep, pretty much. Except instead of using the crank, I just attached my drill to it. Michael, yeah, we're planning on going full E85. So we'll see what fuel pressure does with the 525 pump in it. Really haven't had much issues up and I've only got 350 in it right now. We got E85 right out of the pump about a mile away from my house. How many different changes to your original tune did you have to make to get it started? Dylan, I did a real quick live video on that. Check that out after this one where I go specifically into why change. I took the as found that I had on this one before we went to the F1A where I still had the P1SC in it, took that volumetric efficiency table and interpolated it out to move the boost curve higher up in there, threw it in there, saw what it would do, and it was very rich, and so I ended up having to pull at 10% at a time out of the VE table until I really got it idling decently. So far I've got 4 different speed density tunes, and I'm on my second mass airflow tune on it right now. And it's still very, very rich. So, but as I said, I haven't really done any kind of load tuning on it. That's what'll get all that stuff dialed in. It's a process. Because I definitely got to get sorted out because, man, she's rich enough, as I said, the eyes are a little bit burning right now. I'm ready to get her done, though. We got a testing tune coming up pretty quick. I keep on dropping these terminals I'm going to look for later if I don't pick them up right now. Because this place is a friggin' mess. Yeah, we got a testing tune coming up in about 2 weeks. The Stockerado. Yeah, totally stock. Oh, I'm sure it can't be good for you. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. I'm going to wrap this up. Listen, if you're just now getting in on here, go back and watch this thing from the beginning. We did a couple startups, a couple purges. Go check it out. Keep your eyes peeled. There's going to be a lot of video tuning content coming up. It is going to be a little bit fast and furious. The way that we do this probably won't be as much of the fine editing that I do on some of this stuff. We're just going to get the information out there because, as I said, I want to get this thing on the road. I want to get tuned. I want to get making power. So, yeah, we're just going to hammer through a lot of stuff. But as we hammer through that stuff, whenever, if you have any questions, just ask. Ask questions. Hit up the questions, the comments, things like that. If you're a patron, and you saw something on one of the videos, by all means use the patron email and hit me up, and because I'm going to be blasting through a lot of this stuff, because you have to remember some of the process that we've done or we're going to do on this I've already covered in previous videos, and I'll try to link to those videos as we go through it. But we're going to get into it. We've got a fairly safe mass airflow or a fairly safe speed density table in it, where we're not going to have any of the BS that ended up killing the motor, where there's negative values on there. So we're going to go right into mass airflow tuning. I'm expecting it to take about 2 days to get the mass airflow tune done. Hey, I cleaned the shop. I know it doesn't look like it, but if I turn the camera around, that side of it's clean. This side's still dirty. So, but yeah, okay. Appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Keep your eyes peeled. We'll be doing some videos soon. ABT, always be tuning.